Hello dear students, we are studying the chapter number 15. In this chapter we are going to discuss about some topics related to atom, which are the important elements of the atom, then proton, neutron and the electron. In the previous lecture we have determined the values of the radius of the Bohr's orbit and the velocity of the electron. As you can see on the board, what is the radius of the Bohr's orbit? It is given by the formula in bracket s square epsilon naught upon pi m e square into n square, where n is the principal quantum number, where the radius is directly proportional to square of the principal quantum number. Also we have determined the value of the velocity. Finally we got the formula V is equals to r square by 2h epsilon naught n. So in this case the n is the principal quantum number which gives the number of the orbit, which number of orbit it is. So velocity of the electron is inversely proportional to principal quantum number n. Now also we have seen that what are the Bohr's postulates. Bohr's modified the theory of the Rutherford and give a satisfactory explanation for the unstable electronic revolution. Okay. What are the Bohr's postulates? The Bohr's first postulate is the electron which is revolving in a circular path, where the necessary centripetal force is provided by electrostatic force of attraction between positive charge nucleus and negative charge electrons. And the second postulate states that the electrons which are revolving in those orbits whose angular momentum is equals to integral multiple of h upon 2 pi does not emits or does not loses their energy, they does not emits the electromagnetic radiations. So from the second postulate we can see that the electron revolves in a stable orbit, or the orbit of the electron is stable. And in the third orbit, in this third postulate of the Bohr, we can see that the electron, when it jumps to the higher orbit and it stays there for a very short interval of time and again it returns to the lower orbit, it emits the energy in the form of the radiations or in the form of the heat, which is equals to the difference of the energy of the two orbits. Now the next topic is the energy of the Bohr's orbit. What is the formula for the energy of the Bohr's orbit? As we know, the electron which is having both type of the energies, one is the potential energy and second one is the kinetic energy. So how we can derive the energy of the electron? So total energy is nothing but potential energy plus kinetic energy. We consider this is the equation number 1. How we can write the equation for potential energy? Before that we should know about the electric potential of the electron at distance r. The equation for electric potential of the electron is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught E upon r. So this is the potential of the electron. From this equation we can derive the value of potential energy as potential energy is potential multiplied by charge on the electron, and the electron charge is minus E. So we can write V. What is the value of V? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught E upon R into minus E. So we can write 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught minus E square by R, or we can write the minus sign at different. So this is about the potential energy. How we can derive the value of the kinetic energy? Then from the Bohr's first postulate, as we know, this is we consider as equation number 2. From the first Bohr's postulate we know that the necessary centripetal force is provided by electrostatic force of attraction between positive charge nucleus and negative charge electron. So how we can write the formula for centripetal force? mv square upon r is equals to electrostatic force is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught E square upon r square. If we can cancel the r from the both side, multiplied the left side as well as the right side by the term half. What will happen? Half mv square is equals to, if you multiplied here by the 2, so it becomes 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught E square upon r. So what is nothing but the half mv square? It is nothing but the kinetic energy of the electrons. So what we can write? We can write kinetic energy of the electron is given by E square by 8 pi epsilon naught r. So we have the equation for the kinetic energy of the electron. We can consider this equation as equation number 3. From equation 2 and 3 we have the values of potential energy and kinetic energy. Put these values in equation number 1. How we can write the equation for total energy? Total energy becomes, put the value of potential energy. What is the potential energy? Potential energy is E square by 4 pi epsilon naught into R. Now there is a negative sign which is present here. Sorry, there is a negative sign is present. So minus sign is there. Minus E square by 4 pi epsilon naught R plus what is the value of kinetic energy? E square by 8 pi epsilon naught R. So what is the similarity in these two equations? Then every term present in both the equation is same, but only the difference is here the denominator is 8 times pi epsilon naught r. Here the denominator is 4 times pi epsilon naught r. So how we can make the denominator same? To make the denominator same, we multiplied the first term by multiplied and divided by 2. Then how we can write the equation for total energy? Minus 2 E square by 2 into 4 becomes 8 pi epsilon naught r plus E square by 8 pi epsilon naught r. Now the denominator is same, so we can make the addition or subtraction of the numerator. So we can write minus 2 E square by plus E square by 8 pi epsilon naught r. So minus 2 E square plus E square becomes minus E square. So we can write minus E square by 8 pi epsilon naught r. This is the equation for total energy of the particle. Now in this equation we can put the value of r which we had in the last expression. What is the value of r actually? The value of r is h square by epsilon naught. The value of r is h square by epsilon naught divided by pi me square e square into n square. Put the value of r which we had in the previous expression. What will happen? E is equals to minus E square by 8 pi epsilon naught as it is. What would be the value of r? It is h square epsilon naught by, so the denominator term goes to the numerator, n square pi me square. What will cancel? Pi will cancel. How we can write e square? 2 times e square. So how we can write? E square into e square becomes 4 times e square. So e becomes e square m e raised to 4 minus m e raised to 4 by denominator 8 epsilon naught into epsilon naught becomes epsilon naught square. Then here it is h square into only the change in term is n square. So we write the changing term, that is a principal quantum number n square outside the bracket. So this is the final equation for the energy of the electron. Now from this equation what we can conclude? From this equation we can conclude that energy of the electron is inversely proportional to square of the principal quantum number. So as we are going away from the nucleus, then the energy of the electron in the orbit goes on decreasing because they are inversely proportional to each other. Now here n is the principal quantum number which gives the number of the orbit. If we put the value of n is equals to 1 for the first orbit, how we can write the equation? We can write E is equals to minus me raised to 4 by 8 epsilon naught square h square, because the value of n is 1 for the first orbit. Now in this equation we can put the values of the all constant, where m is the mass of the electron, 9.1 into 10 raised to minus 31, it is constant. E is the charge on the electron, 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19. H is the Planck's constant, 6.34 into 10 raised to minus 34. Epsilon naught is also the permittivity of the free space, it is constant. So everything is constant. If we solve this term, then what the value we have? We have minus 13.6 in electron volt. 13.6 in electron volt. So this is the energy of the first orbit. So here in the formula of total energy of the electron, instead of writing the bracket, we can write the value of the bracket as a minus 13.6 electron volt. So how we can write the formula for total energy? Minus 13.6 into denominator n square. Because the term present in the bracket in the equation of the total energy is constant, and the value of that constant present in the bracket is minus 13.6 electron volt. So this is also in electron volt. If you want to determine the value of the energy of the second orbit, then we have to just put the value of n as a 2. What will happen? The energy of the second orbit is given by minus 13.6 divided by 2 square is 4 electron volt. How? For the third we can write minus 13.6 by square of the 3, that is a 9 electron volt. For that of the fourth orbit we can write minus 13.6 divided by 16, because square of the n for the fourth orbit, square of the 4 is 16 electron volt. So this way we can determine the energy of any orbit by using this equation of total energy. So this is the expression for the total energy of the Bohr's orbit. Now this energy is also called as binding energy of the orbit, or this energy is also called as ionization energy. Why this is called the binding energy? Because if you want to separate the electron from the orbit, or if you want to take the electron outside the orbit, then we need to apply equals to minimum this energy or greater than this energy. If we are applying at least 13.6 electron volt or greater than 13.6 electron volt energy, then only we can remove the electron from the first orbit. So this is applicable for the next of the orbits also. So this is the expression which gives the binding energy. Negative sign indicates that the electrons are bound to the nucleus. So only they are bound, it is shown by the negative sign. Otherwise this is called binding energy or ionization energy. Now the next topic is energy of the electron. So this is done with the energy of the electron. We can show the three series, that is the Lyman series, Balmer series and Paschen series, by drawing one diagram. How we can represent these series of the spectral series of the hydrogen atom actually. So this is the diagram which is important for the examination, for the board examination. Also this diagram is important. In the first Lyman series, the transition of the electron is take place from all higher orbit to the first orbit. In Balmer series, the transition of the electron is take place from all higher orbit to the second orbit. In Paschen series, the transition take place from all higher orbit to the third orbit. So how we can show the electron transition? This is the first orbit, so n is equals to 1. What is the energy of the first orbit? The energy of the first orbit is minus 13.6 electron volt. Then I will show you the second orbit. What is the n is equals to 2. Principal quantum number is 2. Energy, if you put the value, if you solve minus 13.6 divided by 4, then we got the value minus 3.4 electron volt. Then that of the third orbit. So we are showing the orbits close to the each other, because as we are going away from the nucleus, the orbits are seems to be close to each other. For the third orbit, we can write n is equals to 3. The energy of the third orbit is given by minus 1.5 1 electron volt. That of the fourth orbit, we can write the n is equals to 4, that is the principal quantum number. Energy of the fourth orbit is minus 0.85 electron volt. For the fifth orbit, at least we have to show the value of the orbits up to the fifth orbit. The value is minus 0.54 electron volt. So these are the orbits which are spaced, equally spaced actually they are, but there seems to be, or we can see them, they are close to each other. For the first, and also after this there are number of the orbits are present, so we can derive the values of the energy of the orbits after these also. So in Lyman series, how the transition of the electron take place? So by getting the energy, the electron can jump to any of the higher orbit, but after some time it will again reach or again back to the first orbit. So it can go to the second orbit, again it can reach to the first. From the third orbit it can go, after receiving the energy, again it returns to the first orbit. To the third orbit it can go, again it can return to the first orbit. So transition from all higher orbit take place, but again it returns to the first orbit. So this series shows the Lyman series. So in this series, the radiation of the electron is in the ultraviolet range. Then Balmer series, the transition takes place from all higher orbit to the second orbit. So third orbit to the second, fourth orbit to the second, fifth to the second, sixth to the second. So in this way the transition takes place from all higher orbit to the second orbit. Then this is called the second series of the hydrogen, that is a Balmer series. So this is called Balmer series. In this case, the radiations are in the visible regions. That of the third, transition takes place from all higher orbit to the third orbit, that is a Paschen series. So transition from all higher orbit to the third orbit takes place in Paschen series. So this is called Paschen series. So in Paschen series, the radiations are in the range of infrared regions. So this is the diagram which shows that how the electron transition take place. So how we can showing this? Suppose the electron is present in the, suppose this is the nucleus, proton and neutrons are present. This is the electron which is present in the second orbit, or sorry, first orbit. Suppose the electron received the energy, then it will jump to the second orbit and the transition take place from second to first. Again it will return after radiating the energy to the first orbit. Maybe this electron can goes to the third orbit. So transition from third orbit to the first orbit takes place. So this is called ground state, and these are called excited states. So electron initially is in the ground state. After receiving the energy, it goes to the any of the excited states. So there are number of the higher orbits are present. These are nothing but the excited states, and again it will return to the ground state again. It can stay in the excited state for a very short interval of time, around 10 raised to minus 9 seconds. So this is the way how the transition of the electron from the higher orbit to the lower orbit, that is a ground state orbit, take place. After this there is a one more topic, that is the limitations of the Bohr's orbit, then de Broglie explanation, and at the end of the topic, because maximum part after this is neglected for the examination. And finally we have the topic from the page number 336, that is a law of radioactive decay.